Hello, everybody. It just struck me over the last couple weeks that it's been far too long since I played any music by Galuppi. And as soon as that kind of struck me, all these thoughts came tumbling out. And there's more than I can even talk about here in this little video. So what I've done, or what I'm going to do, is just leave the poem by Robert Browning in the comments below. Some excerpts from Charles Burney, also in the comments below. Charles Burney, you may or may not know, was a unusual person in the 18th century, a kind of a traveling gentleman musicologist, going around Europe and reporting on the state of music in Europe at that time. So he's an interesting, useful source of information. So there's a whole encounter with Galuppi in there you can check out. And the Robert Browning is just an interesting poem. It's a Victorian era poem. Has a lot of interesting content, I guess you could say, a richness. One thread in the Browning poem that I find very interesting is this sense of communing with people from the past. A piece of music can really do that. It can make a connection across the ages, at least in the imagination. And I think it is valuable, it's interesting, almost a kind of archaeological aspect to what we do as interpreters, performers. So there's that. So I encourage you to enjoy that poem, interesting poem by Browning. And the other thought I think that's maybe helpful is, harpsichord. I'm, trained as a pianist, but I think it's really important also to explore a variety of keyboard instruments. And of course, pianos, as I've been demonstrating, have some variety among them as well. It makes me think of one of my teachers from years ago, Boris Berman, who I think is still at Yale now. I studied with him at Boston University, but I remember at one point making a comment to him. He had begun his career as a harpsichordist, and I made the mistake of saying to him, since you transitioned over to piano, or something to that effect. And he was like, he immediately responded. He said, no, I didn't change to piano. That was like a new idea to me. You could actually be both a harpsichordist and a pianist. I mean, it was not something I had ever considered. And I think it's, this idea that you have to be travel in one keyboard lane or another, I think is also problematic. I think we need to be willing to experiment. And I think playing a harpsichord is really a useful part of being a pianist as well. I said it, that's what I believe. So hopefully you can enjoy a little bit of that change. I've had to, get this harpsichord into shape, tune it up, get a few plectra replaced and shaved and, set up. So I think hopefully it comes out well. I think it does. A chance to hear this music. The other thought that comes out about this is, these composers, a whole bunch of Italian composers from the 18th century, a lot of times are lumped together as pre-classical. And it just brings back thoughts about, how we categorize the work of people. Just the thought, if you're an artist creating something, you're working really hard to create this whole body of work, and your whole life gets summed up in a category. And especially if it's considered, this is a transitional composer, or this is a pre-classical composer. It's as if your work is, just part of a stream of transition, and makes me think, there's got to be a better way to think about music and art. And I think one of my professors did have something useful to say about this. It was a kind of the rejection of just talking about categories and really emphasizing the idea of provenance. And provenance, of course, is the time and place of origin. So even thinking about historically about a piece of music, thinking about the provenance of that piece, zeroes in on the specific piece. And I think even more than that, just experiencing the piece as a piece of music, not having to put it in a category necessarily, is, I think, really useful. And I think Browning, kind of touches on that, the idea of this experience of a piece, bringing back to life something that was at a particular time, but then somehow communing with the people of that time. It seems to me is a very useful idea. So anyway, you can use those thoughts as you will. And I do hope you enjoy the music. I certainly do.